That's fantastic. We have people from all over the world. Thank you so much for being with us. So today we are having a very special webinar, because today we're having one of our open door fellows, Dr. Jackie Apila, who is going to be presenting on the research that she initiated a few years ago, but now she really established a much stronger and a solid collaboration with Professor Kati Stipi at UGent, and this research sort of flourished through the Open Doors Fellowship Program when Jackie got her scholarship and was able to come and collaborate in the lab of Kati Stipi. And today, Kati and Jackie are going to tell us more about a very special plant. It's Asystasia gangetica. Is a plant that it's being grown in Uganda. It has very different names. Let me read them to make sure that I don't make any mistake, but it's also called like Chinese violet, coromandel, or the creeping foxglove, or in some places just Asystasia. And it's a very important plant for Jackie and for Kati, not only because it has botanic interest, but also because it's connected to the ethnobotany and the ethnology and the community of Jackie. And it's a plant that, as you will see today, can be really a game changer for those communities, especially during periods of drought and lack of resources. So yeah, today we were going to have also another scientist engaged in our discussions that happens to be at the same time. It was Dr. James Shergold, that happens to be the father of Jackie, which is it's an honor to have father and daughter presenting together in our seminar. But unfortunately, he has had some medical issues last minute, so he's not going to be able to be with us. But anyway, her daughter is going to be presenting, of course, Jackie, the science that he's been doing also in this project. So now I also would like to explain that we are going to have Sarah, my colleague, will be introducing the bios of all our invited speakers today, and they're going to be presenting, and I would be grateful if you can keep your questions to the end. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end. You can input them in the chat, and we will make sure that all your questions are being conveyed to our experts in the panel. And because we're having a sort of a small group, we can also open the mics and have a discussion at the end. So yeah, please, Sarah, go and help with the bios. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Dr. James Shergold Apila Otar is a civil servant, and he has a rich career in academia and research. He worked as a senior principal research officer at NARO, and he served as a lecturer in different universities such as Makerere University and Nairobi University in Kenya. He is also the author of 2 books, and he authored over 30 peer-reviewed articles. And yeah, as Laura said, he unfortunately cannot be with us today, but we wanted to acknowledge his input. Maybe Laura, can you share the slide? So Jackie will take over his presentation. So Jackie, please go ahead. Thanks.
So good evening to you all, and really welcome. I'm excited about my Asystasia. It is like a pet, you can't call it a pet. It's a special plant that caught my attention a couple of years ago, and now I'm happy that I can confidently stand here as a champion for this weed. It is a weed to some, but it is food to my people. Today's topic is on the socioeconomics and the ecophysiology of Asystasia gangetica. It's a subspecies. It's called micrantha. In my language, we have 2 dialects where I come from. I'm a Luo. We have different Luos there in Kenya and also in Uganda. I'm a Luo. And in my language, from the part of Lango that I come from, we call it Rot Opwo. And the western part, it's called Adipakong. So those are the local names. It's always imperative that we should attach it to our native names in as much as there is a botanical name. And as already iterated, I will be presenting on behalf of my father. He's not feeling so well, so that's Dr. James. He has his presentation. His profile has already been given, and kindly, Laura, maybe you could move to the next slide. Okay. It's kind of being obscured, but I will just get to the heart of it. Let me probably use the one that I have in front of me here. Did you know that the socioeconomics of the leaves of the edible Asystasia can be best understood if we trace the late part of the migration of the plain Nilotics, the Lango people from Ethiopia into their current locality in Uganda? The story began some 400 years ago when they reached the savanna woodlands of northern Uganda. Now, this land was rich in wild animals, birds, and fruit trees. But by then, the now settled nomadic Lango people ate domestic and game meat. Now, being nomadic, the Langi sought to expand their settlement further west, where they encountered the Nilotics, that is the Acholi, who are in Uganda, as well as the Kumam, the Japadola, and the Luo of Kenya. Next. Now, it is quite possible that then the Langi enriched their diet by eating grains, vegetables, legumes, and wild tubers. So some of them are locally called modo or aboshe of their neighbors. Now, the climatic conditions of the savanna woodlands is characterized by the dry and wet seasons, but this did not encourage the cultivation of the newfound crops during the dry season. But the Lango people, being as wise as they are, overcame the scarcity of vegetables through drying and storing them in pots. Now, from which they would extract small quantities to cook. Now, this was only possible with two of the indigenous vegetables, that is boyo and alajo. The Lango people ate the dry vegetables sparingly until the wet season when the new fresh vegetables could be cultivated. Next. Now, some 100 years ago, these vegetables became scarce because of the increased human and cattle population. Thus, the Langi women sought to cultivate alternative vegetables. This was when these remarkable women actually discovered a nondescript weed, which amazingly transcended the dry season in various locations. The women cooked it and fed it to their families who really liked these vegetables. Now, because of the palatability of this vegetable, they gave it a name, rot opor. Rot opor, in the local dialect of Eastern Lango, simply means the chief liked. This same plant is given a different name in Western Lango. It's called adipakong, meaning it is capable of invading any landscape. Next. Now, because of the ability to exploit both wet and dry season, this weed becomes very important as the climate changes, especially as it affects our food security. Now, recently, during the Women's Day celebration of 8th March 2024, with funding through the Open Door Fellowship, we were able to gather men, women, and children, and we treated them to a comparative meal of a locally known vegetable called boyo and our Asystasia. It was cooked in a traditional way and served with millet posho and then a little bit of cassava. And the verdict was clear. Everybody loved the rotopor. It was sweet and smooth. That was what they said. And now, because of the severe decline in the production of the locally available vegetables, it is imperative that this weed that grows all year round, regardless of the condition, we should be able to understand how it is cultivated. In other words, we need modern science to help. Next.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. Just let me briefly introduce yourself. So, Dr. Jackie Epile is a full-time lecturer in chemistry at Lira University. As you might already guess, she's really passionate about research, and she's a successful open door fellows at IPBO, and a early career fellow from UNESCO OWSD. She was recently awarded with a Vlera US short initiative, and she's really committed to education, research, and community engagement. So yeah, once again, the floor is yours, Jackie. Let's hear more about your research. Thank you.
So next. Kindly next again, Sarah. Okay, thank you. So in the past, as you've already heard from the previous presentation that I was privileged to communicate, our forefathers coped with our dry season food scarcity by relying on wild, edible, and nutritious food crops like our leafy green Asystasia. Next. The existential crisis is that climate change is with us, and it is now more pronounced, and it is exacerbating our already existent food insecurity. Next, we are at a point of inflection. The question then that remains is that why don't we integrate these food crops? It is not that simple. The first thing is that they are going extinct. The agronomy, ecophysiology, and phytochemistry under protracted dry season is not known. Next. And that is the research that I'm currently immersed in, because it is paramount that we need the science to back up what we already know to integrate these food crops into our modern food systems. Next. My name is Jackie, as you already know, and this evening I stand in front of you, or I present to you, standing on the shoulders of 1,000 people from my past, my present, and my future. Now, rooted in our ecoculture, this evening, I share with you a snippet of the journey that I have started with a food crop that has a potential to transform the global food industry. The story is told by the leaves of my Asystasia and translated through state-of-the-art ecophysiology and microscopic instrumentation, and eventually processed into a more palatable form. Now, the versatility with which my Asystasia exploits various biophysical conditions remains an enigma that really science must come in to understand why it does what it does. So as we've already heard, the dry season food culture of the plain Nilotes, my people, is hinged on Asystasia. Now, this species is a fast grower. It reproduces within 6 weeks. I can attest to that because it is growing in my backyard and it has never stopped flowering. It is almost coming to a year and it flowers proliferously. It is a drought-tolerant pioneer. It can be propagated vegetatively via the seeds or layering. It also grows hydroponically. This was done last year in Professor Kati's lab, where we did some experimentations. It has a very short life cycle of less than 6 weeks. Perhaps it is comparable to Arabidopsis. Now, globally, it has so many uses, from being a cover crop to a medicinal plant to food for both humans and fodder. The list is endless. However, this miracle weed of mine is nearing extinction because right now there is massive destruction of our aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. And therefore, this threatens our dry season food security. And it's also going to be exacerbated by this climate change that is worsening day by day. We do not know its agronomy, its ecophysiology is also not known, and its food value under these different conditions is also not really fully exploited. And yet all this could inform food policy and eventually would allow this food crop of ours to integrate or not only penetrate the local market, but it could be a global food resource. Now, this research that I'm currently doing is really timely and feasible And first of all, it aligns with my partner's laboratory, that is Professor Kati Stepi's Jugend Plant Ecology Lab. But aside from that, in Uganda, it is feeding onto our National Development Plan, the third one, that is running from 2020 all the way to 2025. It will also contribute to SDGs 1, 2, 3, and 15, where Uganda currently underperforms, and also the recently signed Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Next. Now, because it's not taboo to go back to the past and bring that which is useful, this is a Twi. It's a Ghanaian saying. It stems from the word Sankofa. So what we did mid last year, more or less a year ago, we did investigate the production potential of Asystasia. And we were able to successfully propagate it in both peat soil and water media. And you can clearly see me holding, it's a couple of, not even 3 months old, but you can see how big the plant was. And this was under low nutrient diet. We were not really feeding, it was just plain water. If we're feeding it, it would have even grown bigger than that. And as you can also see from the background, so again, just move on. So aside from that, we also did a little bit of the ecophysiology. So we monitored the photosynthesis, we did the stomatoconductance, we did leaf chlorophyll, we did the electron transport, and a host of other ecophysiological measurements. And for today, we cannot really present the results because we will eventually write it out into a paper, but this is basically what we did with Professor Kati. And we also did the eatability. You know, I like mixing a little bit of my things. We did the eatability and we cooked it. And I can say Kat is there, she's smiling. They all enjoyed it. So this plant really has potential. Next. Kindly next again so that the other slide can also appear. Thank you. So I also faced a number of challenges when it came to these measurements. And this is not the only African plant I have worked on. I have done Mesopsis, and now I have moved to Asystasia. And I can really confidently say that these African species or the Ugandan species that I have are really unique. Their physiology sometimes defies the odds. We have machines that are able to measure, but sometimes they do the opposite. And therefore, certain times we must do some adjustments in order to suit the equipment that we have. Sometimes also the experiments and associated equipment are so costly, we can't afford it. I can't afford to buy the machines that are in Professor Kati's lab. So that is really a challenge. It's in thousands of euros, and that's costly. So I can't do the ecophysiology, the phytochemistry, or the hydroponic science that I would love to do. And that is why I stand on a shoulder like Professor Kati. Those are one of my giants that I stand on the shoulders, literally. Funding for futuristic studies is not there. And this is where the future is heading. We're heading for this sort of science where we grow crops indoors and we can mass produce. We have a mobile lab, but we do not have that. And therefore, that is why we collaborate and network. And Kati will talk more about that. And still, technology transfer is very low, as well as capacity building, so low. And we get opportunities such as the ODFP, which I'm attached to, and also Kati's lab. Next. I think that's basically where I stop, and then my lovely Professor Kati will be introduced. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie, for this very inspiring presentation. And now we leave the floor to Kati Steppe. So she is a bioengineer, a doctor in applied biological sciences, and a full professor at Ghent University. She is managing the Ghent Laboratory of Plant Ecology at the Faculty of Bioscience Engineering at Ghent. And this year she has been awarded with the Franqui Chair, which is a prestigious academic honor. And she's also part of Agrotopia, and I think she will tell us more about that in this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice introduction, and Jackie, thank you very much for the nice introduction of your wheat. you indeed love it, and I can indeed confirm that it was really, really tasteful. It even tasted like mushrooms, so we see much of potential in this, and I really hope that we can take it from this presentation and from what we do to a higher level and next step. So, okay. So let me complete a bit the story and tell you indeed a bit more on Agrotopia. So if you can hit the next slide. Okay, so because indeed Jackie was telling that this plant that she's looking at, it's highly resistant against drought, and we all know that we are living in a climate change induced world, and if indeed the drought is hitting crops and you cannot grow them indoors, you cannot grow them anymore in the field due to heavy drought, then a potential solution could be growing crops indoor, like Jackie explained, like this hydroponics. And within Ghent University, we have an endowed chair. It's called the Agrotopia Endowed Chair. But it is also linked to a greenhouse. And here on the site, you see basically a 12-meter high greenhouse. Jackie was basically standing inside that greenhouse. And I have here a picture from, or a drawing from outside, the design. So it's the highest greenhouse across Europe. And the idea is that it serves as a kind of platform to invent new technologies and to look at vertical farming. And Ghent University, together with our faculty, basically wants to pioneer a bit in this kind of research. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so to do that, to be, let's say, a pioneer in this kind of research, in 2017, Ghent University, our faculty, the Faculty of Bioscience Engineering, the Rio Auction and Inagro, they combined basically forces, and they created this UGent Agrotopia Endowed Chair. And the idea is to put together comprehensive research and to develop visionary concepts and novel technology. And the idea why we want to do that, the ambition is basically to increase sustainability in greenhouse horticulture, to also integrate principles of circular economy in urban environments, because you have seen this greenhouse, you also see here a picture, is basically built on the Rio Auction within a city. So it's also to promote sustainable agriculture in a professional way in cities, in an urban context, and to increase then its rentability. You have heard that Jackie was telling that technical transfer is very low, and that is also one of the ambitions of Agrotopia, to do the other way, so to propel implementations of innovations. Initially towards the growers in Flanders, but we hope, me and Jackie, that by maybe getting a project that includes this powerful wheat, let's say, inside such an environment, that it will not stay maybe with Flemish growers, and that we can take the next leap. So basically, Agrotopia is there to pioneer vertical, professional, high-tech urban horticulture. And our ambition, the big ambition, is to lead the way, and also to do that in a sustainable way. And you heard Jackie already mention for her crop what the sustainable development goals are for the Asystasia. Okay. Then I will present a bit the idea of Agrotopia, and Laura, or I think you are pushing the button, so I will go over the different things, so you will then see the pictures emerging. So if you could follow a bit the path, then that would be nice. So the idea of Agrotopia is that research groups, so individual research groups within the Faculty of Bioscience Engineering, they have joined basically forces to form a group and a platform for synergetic research. So basically, in the context of all the topics that I just have described, the Agrotopia is our platform to bring together, like top research in individual groups, but by combining them, they are moved to the next level. And so within Agrotopia, the first thing that we did is, and now I will say next, then that's maybe easier. So we looked at the influence of LED light, because here you see that you can steer different wavelengths to increase the production and the quality of crops. Another thing that we did is looking at the behavior and the dynamics of insects under LED light, and both the beneficials but also the harmful, because there is an interaction, and we need to understand how in these controlled environments, how they behave to, again, gain insights, how we can keep up with the sustainable and the management basically of insects and the control of insects. Then what the other thing that we did is we also look at biostimulants, but also nutrients that are derived from waste streams, and have then a look how they can then be beneficial to increase the growth of crops. And here you see, for example, an experiment on lettuce. And that is also important because in this circular economy, we need to indeed use waste streams and then be able to give it a better way to use to indeed steer and improve crop quality. Then we also looked at pathogens also under this LED lightning, and at the same time we look then at these pathogens, and certainly if they are vascular pathogens, they also have an effect on the water relations, and that then impacts the irrigation system. So therefore also that is part of the research. We also look at the interaction between the plant and the environment, so the phyloclimate, as we call it, because in every environment, being indoor or outdoor, the plant is influencing the microclimate, because if, for example, a plant is transpiring, it brings water vapor into the atmosphere. Thereby, it changes the atmospheric relative humidity. And due to the fact that atmospheric humidity is changing, it has an impact on the drying power of the atmosphere. Therefore, it impacts then the growth of the crop, which then again influences the climate. So you have a continuous interaction between the crop and the microclimate. Basically, that is the basis of ecophysiology, understanding the response of plant growth and plant dynamics and functioning on the environment. And due to this continuous interaction, that led then to one of the flagship projects within Agrotopia, and we called it crosstalk, because there is a continuous crosstalk between the plant and the environment. And then finally, we also next. No, there should be a movie, but yeah. Okay, so you see here, it's moving, so therefore it's nice to see it indeed. So that is basically one of the outcomes of crosstalk. So we invest in designing tools where we can invent in a virtual world new production systems, but then put the plants with the production systems in the environment that is changing with the light, with the temperature, with CO2. And we can look at the growth of the plants. And here you, for example, see a system that we are currently or will test in the near future within Agrotopia. So it's a kind of a moving system with lettuce, and to just beforehand already understand whether the system will work or not. So these are innovative tools that are or that can be developed within this Agrotopia endowed share environment. And then we can learn from that, and from the insights we can again gain knowledge and give the knowledge to the growers, and they can then take action and in that sense also improve their own production. So it's from innovative ideas, but bring the good things to the local growers so that they can benefit from it. So it's a bit like space research. You discover something and then you make a product that is widely used across the globe. It's a bit similar. Okay, then we can go to the next slide. So basically, that is the ideal world, but that you are able to control everything. So and here you see a new production system, and the idea would be, okay, if you can build this, and like Jackie explained, it's quite expensive, but on the other hand, you can then control everything, and you can engineer that, and that is perfectly possible. But still, challenges exist, and if you hit then again the button, then you here see that you need to find out which light do I set, which CO2 do I supply, which temperature, which nutrients, how much water do I supply, and all these resources they have to be managed in a way that it is sustainable. And on the other hand, you also need the energy to do all of this. And so it's a big challenge, even if you have the infrastructure that in some places, like in Jackie's place, it's not possible, not yet, to build these kind of things. But on the other hand, we can build this, but still there are many challenges to overcome, to set these settings so that we can indeed increase the production and the quality of crops. So and therefore also this interaction between north and south, if I can say so, is so super important, because otherwise if we only think about what we have, then you forget that that this is already technology that is super interesting, and but in the end at the end of the journey, we need to be able to bring these technologies to also other places, and not only keep the knowledge and the insights up to the north. So therefore I'm very grateful that I can work together with Jackie. So I think it's a very nice cross fertilization to go to the next step. Okay, then here you one back. Yeah. So here you see, for example, technology that one can normally it should be movies. Can you? Yeah. Okay. And you can already press the other also, and normally they run together. So you will see on the one side it's an actual time lapse of wheat growth in a facility at our faculty, and on the other hand you see that we are able in this virtual world to recreate the same environment. And you also see that we can play with these colors, so you can go from green to orange to yellow to all the wavelengths from the sunlight spectrum you can play with. And so that's super cool because you can do a bit disco for plants, and that's already, only saying it's already nice. So you can mix the light, but the thing is, which is the correct light and which wavelengths do you need to give to your plants to make them grow better, to increase some components, something that we are also interested in Asystasia, to increase some components that are beneficial for the human, for us, for the humans, and also for feed for the animals. And so if you go then to the next slide. then here you see all these wavelengths. The idea is that indeed you try to project them on a plant. You see a simulation of a pea plant in the middle. And so that means indeed that by selecting the wavelengths that you can change the growth of the plant, not only the production, but also the quality, meaning the nutrients that are there and how fast they grow and how long they become. And we in the ecophysiological world, we mention, or we refer to that as EMOs. So everybody knows GMOs, so genetically modified organisms. We have something similar, EMOs, environmental modified organisms, because by playing with the environment, here you see the light, but it's also temperature, it's also CO2. You can also modify the organisms, and we have a bit of benefit till now that the rules to apply environmental modifications that is not that heavy as for filing dossiers as with GMOs, for example. So that means indeed you have multiple possibilities with hydroponics, and Jackie nicely showed it with her plant. That even with plain water, how large it was. So that was already an indication of this modification and growth changes of the plant that are possible. And by selecting the correct wavelengths, the correct temperature, CO2, nutrients, we can basically produce food in a sustainable way, but also in a healthy way, because you can upregulate some components just by playing with, for example, a wavelength, or by playing with other factors from the environment. And then we again come into the bigger picture of this planetary health plate. So, and that is also something that Jackie wants I think that would be a big achievement if we indeed in this planetary health plate that on the right where the vegetables are displayed, that there is another leaf man drawn, and we should ask them like for an additional drawing of this picture, so that it becomes part of the planetary health plate, and through her research. And then you see indeed that on the movie that you see on your left, that is turgor-driven growth. So that means that indeed that's also something that our lab is very interested in and basically pioneered a little bit in. So the plant growth is light, as you see, is necessary to produce sugars through photosynthesis. But the real growth, like you see in the movie, the real dimensional changes, that is not due to the photosynthesis. That is due to the water relations. And the color, the ring around the movie, denotes the change between day and night. And if you look a little bit at this picture, you will see that when it's getting black, that the leaves will turn blue. That means turgor, and that means growth of the plant during the night. While if it is light, then the leaves are getting red in the virtual model here. And that means that their turgor is decreasing and that they don't grow. So that means indeed that, we need the night also to create turgor in the plant, to have this growth phenomenon. And then, of course, we need the light for the photosynthesis, for the components, to then keep the osmotic potential in a proper way, and also to steer then these nutrients. So this is a bit quickly said, because I can go much deeper into this ecophysiological thing, but we decided to keep it on 10 minutes. So I think I filled now my time. So thanks for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's been a very interesting talk, and we're very, very happy to get to see these connections between the South, of course, and the North, and how this can become a two-way avenue where we learn from the South and the South learns from us, and it's not like in one direction only. So I'm not sure if we're having any questions from the chat. It would be nice to hear from whether our audience today has any questions for our experts. Yes, would be nice. I think it's a small group, so we have Lieve. We're going to, ask you if you can unmute yourself because it's a small group, and I think we have a bit of time. So Lieve, we're going
I hope the Wi-Fi works well, so that you hear me.
Yes.
I have a question about the physiological measurements. Did the measurements reveal anything about the possible mechanism of the drought tolerance of Asystasia?
Yeah, Jackie, you go ahead.
Oh, yes. My weed is really amazing, and it's really a funny weed. It will pretend to respond to drought, and then it starts reversing it. So basically, the plants I've always worked with are a bit unique. I don't know, they kind of redistribute their water. So it doesn't really dry completely. It dries and then again behaves like a plant that is fully hydrated. And that is something we need to investigate. And that is why we have evoked the anatomy. That is something we will continue to do, because I keep moving up and down, but that's something we will definitely do. We have found a lot about this plant, but we need to verify it with So thank you for that question.
And maybe indeed to add on that, because you saw in the pictures that we have these kind of leaf clips, and that showed then the patterns of this redistribution of the water. So we can back up, or the idea of this redistribution was then supported, as Jackie also said in her presentation. You have kind of a feeling what is happening, but then with the measurements you can prove then that what is going on and in which magnitude, and quantify it.
Interesting. Thank you.
Are there any more? Vidya, I think I see you talking, but you are muted. Maybe let us unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself because we cannot hear you. Now.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so what about if there is any plant virus or viroid which can affect the plant? Like, is there any record of that? Is there any research done on that area? Impact of pathogens on this plant?
Pathogens. Yeah.
No, I don't think. That's another line of science, but not to the best of my knowledge. No.
Yeah, maybe that's Jackie a good idea, because in Agrotopia we have Professor Monica Hufte. She's a plant pathologist, so we will mention the topic to her when you come next time.
Yes.
It's exciting, yes.
Sorry, your question was whether there was any known or recorded evidence of viruses attacking this.
That's right. That's exactly
Okay.
right.
I am a nematologist by training, a bit like Liv, I guess, and so it would be nice also to know what nematodes can do to this plant as well. It would be really nice because Thank you. More questions from the audience? I do have one, if I'm allowed, while we wait for the other maybe to contribute. But so basically, I know that Asystasia gangetica, there are several subspecies, and the nutritional value has been assessed for some of them. But I wonder if there has been studies done on your particular subspecies, the one that you're having in Uganda, about the nutritional value and of it. Do you have any information that you can disclose? I don't know. Maybe you have and you can't. I don't know.
No. The nutritional value. So this is subspecies micrantha. So basically, in literature, they just put it out there as Asystasia gangetica, and they don't categorize that this is the subspecies. And where it's more interesting on my part is that under drought conditions, we know that there will be phytochemicals, but we do not know to which extent. And if we are playing around with the lighting, it might also change because we know that these phytochemicals are pegged on the wavelengths that they receive. So that is what we're looking at, but I'm not also sure if they have been elucidated. So the structures of these phytochemicals, it's very expensive to kind of come up with a final organic chemical structure, and that has not been done. And that's also what I intend to do, probably when I am in Ghent next month. Would be nice if we could elucidate some of these structures and we can then put it in sync with the medicinal, the local medicines they claim. It claims to heal snake bite, but we do not know which organic compound in the Asystasia is actually doing that. It helps women, pregnant women, give birth. It helps in so many ways, but the structures are not known. So that is also an interesting science that we should delve in, but it is quite expensive. Yes.
And are you Kathy and Jackie sort of documenting, because I know that one of the elements also your father was brought on board because of his also knowledge about the ethnobotany and the ethnographic aspects of your communities. And I think you've mentioned, I would like you to maybe elaborate a bit on the fact that it was oral tradition and some of these stories, cooking recipes, and as you've said, there are uses, but it's not documented. It was getting a bit lost. So are you doing something on that respect, Jackie?
No, I was talking about the medicinal properties of these particular Asystasia. The subspecies is not disclosed because it's just in literature. It's only talked about Asystasia gangetica. It doesn't say which subspecies because it's spread across the globe. So what I was talking about is that some of the medicinal properties that we've picked from literature, it says it heals snake bites and all that. But under the UNESCO OWSD funding, I will indeed document the cooking and how it is cooked. And through Kati's lab, we could also still be able to decipher at the end of the day which phytochemicals or nutrients or the best cooking technique that will ensure that our nutrients are kept locked in the plant. So that is, it's still a futuristic science. Okay, in my mind, it's futuristic, but it's also pegged on the funding. But we are moving in that direction.
It's good to know. And whom are you tapping into your communities to find about that indigenous knowledge? Are you talking to
the locals? So basically, the women, like you saw in the presentation, it's the women with the knowledge. So during Women's Day, they were able to cook one side of the dish, but there are different aspects of and different parts of the Lango sub-region I come from. They have different cooking cultures and different methodologies. So that is what we intend to tap into for the UNESCO funding that has granted that funding for us to traverse basically some few of the sub-regions to see how the women cook and what they put in the food and how does that particular ingredient affect the overall phytochemical of our vegetables.
It's really interesting. I don't know if anyone has, because I have plenty of questions, but I don't want to take over. I don't know if someone else wants to.
I'm just curious, what's the nature of the phytochemicals in this plant? Like, is it coumarin or flavonoid or saponin?
So it's all those, basically all those. So it's documented as all those, but the structures are not known. They list several names of the phytochemicals, but the structure, we don't know the structure. And that is really, that's what, as a chemist, that's what I'm interested in, because that will feed into pharmaceuticals, it will feed into so many aspects, and because that is the key ingredient that we would like at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, maybe one question to move towards the conclusion. What do you see as a future for this plant as a food crop?
I don't know if Kati wants to answer that, or I should.
Well, you can start.
I can start. So my weed has potential. I know it's going to end up in your plate in Europe, in America. I tested it. I cooked just a little bit of it and gave it to Kati at the lab, the plant ecology lab, and boy, it was finished in a few seconds. Huh? It's very delicious.
Yeah.
And it also has, in its raw form, traditionally we also eat raw vegetables. Not all is cooked. in the past it was not cooked, but nowadays we tend to cook a lot, maybe because of the germs and what. But eaten raw as well, it has a magnificent taste, and Kati can also attest to that. So
Yeah,
it has potential.
Voilà. I also think like microgreens in your future salad, it should be in.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
really true. Like we tasted like the microgreens of the plant, and we did like a small panel within the lab, and they were all like coming one by one, and everybody tasted indeed this mushroom. It's you have to taste it So yeah, it really has a potential. But then of course, that is only one aspect. Like Jackie says, probably besides being a microgreen in many salads, maybe more potential will be in this connection with the medical world and the chemistry in which Jackie then also specializes. So so we should get a project in
Yes.
Agrotopia to then
Yes.
bring it back, and we did do an effort now already, but unfortunately just not. I think but we will keep trying. Well, they even recommended. They said you should not be disappointed. Go for it next time then. But
Yeah.
it have been nice to have it now, but that's life, right?
Yeah.
So maybe next time if we send the application, but it's all electronically now. Otherwise, we could have send a small bag with some leaves for them to taste.
Yes.
And ladies, what about the flowers? Can you eat the flowers too? Because in some crops, we know we can also eat the flowers. What about those? Because they're beautiful, beyond being beautiful. Are they also tasty?
I've not eaten them. They smell nice, but I've not tried them. But that's a nice school of thought. We could also think of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
We should invite this group to go for the next 3-star restaurant, and then they can put like one flower on top of their dish. But we have to be the first one to taste it. So
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, and maybe we can close here the webinar if we have no more questions from our audience. But so what is the immediate, like the short term next for your science and Jackie and Kati? Because we've been discussing a lot about things that are of interest, but what's the next topic you're going to focus on in Asystasia, and what is it?
So the next topic, okay, I can speak and Kati will add. So basically, when I come to Europe next month, we're going to look at the microgreens and look at its potential. It has potential, and look at the chemicals in there that we can use. Probably try to lobby for more funds to delve more into it. But at the same time, if we could push for it to be tried by the communities, that would also be a plus. Because it has potential. And also we're going to do the phytochemistry, which will then solidify the entire story from the ecophysiology and the phytochemistry, plus the agronomy, and the fact that I'm also back home here working with the community. It is a perfect remedy. Like we're going to come up with an all-round plant that we can bring back to the community and ask them, do you like this? Because in my culture, we don't do microgreens. We do the fully grown leaves, but now the microgreens is something new and it is rich. And the cotyledons of Asystasia are amazing in itself. We've already done experiments on it, and it's an amazing weed. I'm in love with Asystasia. Let Kati conclude. Huh?
Yeah, well, I think you concluded very nicely. Not much to add, but I fully agree that are the next steps, and in the near future. So it's not, I think within a couple of days that you arrive.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's so fantastic to see these big smiles in the faces of the scientists here. It's like it feels like you ladies struck gold with this wheat and this science and this research that you are taking forward, and we are delighted to see that, and that this beautiful partnership is really moving ahead, and that indeed is going to cause impact in the science in the north and in the science in the south, and in all the communities that can benefit from that, both in Africa and in Europe. And just a polite request, if you do a cooking day, please don't forget about the team of IPBO. and all the colleagues who are here in Ghent. We would love to go and be able to feast from those leaves, but it seems to be delicious.
It is taken note, so you will all be invited.
It's recorded now.
yeah. But also, Sarah, I think I speak then for both of us that we want to thank you and the organization, because I worked together with Jackie, but it was on Mysopsis, it was on trees, and it is thanks to you and the program that she could bring the wheat love into our lab, because otherwise I think we would have communicated about it but not do research, because you always need funds, and that was so thank you. I think from both of us, thank you a lot for making this possible. And you are invited indeed on the next. Yeah, the others are also invited. I don't know. We don't pay the flight tickets, but if you are around, very much welcome. We will organize that.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we leave some follow-up posts on LinkedIn so people can see what's the second part of this story about the cooking. Yeah,
okay,
and and of course, thanks to everybody for being here today. All of us who joined the seminar from different parts. I know Nigeria, we have Hadiza, we have people from Toronto, we have people from Uganda. Thanks for being with us today, and of course, like a big thank you and big clap for Sarah. Sarah has been doing a lot of the back, coordination, making sure that everything is ready, that this webinar was taking place and that everybody knew what was going on behind the scenes. So that's all to her.
Can you provide the contact information for all of you, like in case I want to get in touch with you in the future?
Sure. We can put them in the chat right now. You can contact Kati, Professor Kati Stipi and of course Jackie Apila. And you can also contact us at via IPBO, and we are going to leave this information right in the chat. But I think, otherwise you can also follow us on our social media. And of course you can send us an email and we will for sure put you in contact. We can link you up with our speakers of today.
Thank you so
that's
much.
no problem whatsoever.
Okay.
And I think because it's a registration, there is access through registration to this webinar. I think we may have your email, Vidya, so we can also contact you back. So
thank
no
you
worries.
so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we can call it an online cafe, I believe. Thanks a lot to our invited speakers, and hope to see you in the next online cafe.
Sure.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening. Good luck with the research.
Wonderful
Bye.
talk. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.